overrated. It's a word that means many things to many people. But in the car world, frankly, for me at least, there is only one car that's overrated. And that is the Toyota Supra Mark IV. And I'm not gonna just rant about it for 2 hours. I'm gonna give you a proper explanation of why I think the Supra is honestly overrated and it's not as good as you say it is. It's a mid car. There are so many other cars from the time period that are frequently overlooked, but because of the Supra, they're even more overlooked. First reason for me is the styling. Okay. Now, if you don't look at the orange car that Paul Walker drove in Fast and Furious, look at the stock Toyota Supra. Look at it. Honestly, tell me, don't you think it looks like an unfinished design? Like, the trunk line is so high, okay? The rear is so narrow, don't you think it looks unfinished? And the front, the headlights, they don't have any character. They're just lines on the car's face, that's it. And the air intake is just as hideous. So I don't see from the looks factor of it why you guys like it. The convertible used in the Fast and Furious films looks even worse. It just looks like they've chopped off a section of the roof. It's not even a proper convertible. Also, when did people start putting spoilers from toy cars on convertibles? I don't understand. How does that black spoiler on the orange car look good? That's just the looks. Now coming to the engine. Well, the engine actually, I don't have much negative to say about it. It's a pretty good engine, very reliable, and it can even do 1000 horsepower on stock internals. Now this is where I'm coming to the main part of the car. The whole thing about the Supra, it's not about the car itself. It's about the engine. Let's be honest, people who like the Supra like the 2JZ engine inside there because of its tunability, and also it can handle 1000 horsepower on stock internals. I don't know which other engine in the world could do that. But even the engine isn't that good to call it a legendary car. Because look, there are engines that are much more powerful than it. Of course, they might not have the tuning potential, but there are engines that are definitely more powerful than the 2JZ in stock form. Some people online have been claiming that a stock Toyota Supra can beat a Bugatti in a straight line. Have you ever read the spec sheet of a Bugatti? Forget the Veyron, let's take the model before it, EB110. It can't even beat that. And it's a contemporary from the same time period. Now that comes to the tuning part of it. Tuned Toyota Supras, some of them are extremely tasteful, okay? Some of them even I like. But some of them are just so horrible, okay? Most of them just look the same. And what is this Supra without headlight trend? What do you mean by without a headlight? You stick an air filter in the headlight? That doesn't give you any extra power. It's just a marketing tactic used by Dodge at one point of time. Putting an air filter instead of your headlight is a bad decision and I'd not advise it. Next thing, its power to weight ratio. Yes, it does have 320 horsepower, significantly more than the Nissan GTR. However, you compare the two's weights. Okay, the Supra weighs almost 1650 kgs, while a regular Nissan GTR weighs around 1500 kgs. That's a big weight difference, and that also makes up for the loss of power, honestly. Like, I'm not glazing the Nissan GTR or something, even that car has its faults, okay? I'm just saying that the Toyota Supra is a bit too heavy. Why is it so heavy? Because I feel like it's just over-engineered. The engine is just over-engineered, okay? There's a point at which you have to stop engineering stuff. Otherwise it just becomes too complicated. And take into account the Nissan GTR has a 4-wheel drive system and also this Atessa ETS system, which is basically variable traction control. The Nissan GTR in theory should be much heavier than the rear-wheel drive Toyota Supra. But it's not, because the engineers kept the engine pretty simple. Now, in its defense, the Supra was supposed to be a straight line missile. Okay, that means it didn't have that much handling potential. But also, as a straight line missile, it also does fail a little bit, you have to admit. Because many of its contemporaries, and I'm not talking about supercars like the McLaren F1 or something. I'm talking about cars like the Nissan 300 ZX Turbo. These cars could easily beat the Supra in a straight line, and they basically came from the same year, the same time period. So now you might ask, then why is everybody glazing the Toyota Supra? Well, let me tell you something. Nostalgia is a pretty big factor. It's more than you consider it to be. And nostalgia is clearly in favor of the Toyota Supra. Many 90s kids who grew up watching the Fast and Furious franchise all remember that scene where the Toyota Supra and Dom's black Charger, not Challenger, jumped across the railway bridge at the correct time. I mean, like, it's a cool scene, okay? You can check it out. Crazy cinematography. But still, that car, it's all running on nostalgia, okay? It's honestly a pretty mid car, but the advertising and the image that the Fast and Furious franchises show you makes the Supra look like a legendary car, honestly. Forget the Fast and Furious nostalgia part. Even if we look at, let's say, motorsport stats, okay? Now, the only series where the GTR and the Supra competed together was the JGTC. Now, the JGTC was won by the GTR R34 specifically twice, but the R32 and R33 had also won, and not to mention that GTRs were also very dominant in Australian racing, that is the modern equivalent of supercar series, and were also all dominant everywhere else in the A, for example in the Group A regulations and stuff. Whereas the Supra only won the GGTC once and never really competed as a factory team in any other racing championship. So you can say that the GTR is more dominant in the racing circuit. Now coming to the drag strip, the stats show that the GTR will definitely get a better start and go to 0 to 100 faster than the Supra, which also means they might take the quarter mile. However, if the Supra is tuned and the GTR also is tuned, then it completely depends on the tuner preferences, what the tuner has done to the car. And in that case, both the engines are blank canvases. Even the GTR engine is also a very good canvas for tuning. So it's really a fair fight if both are tuned. Now coming to the last part of the motorsport comparison, the Nürburgring Nordschleife lap times. Let's first compare the R34 to the Supra. Okay, now the R34 achieves a lap time of 7 minutes and 59 seconds. Very respectable for a 90s sports car. And the Supra receives an 8-minute plus lap time. Also very respectable for a sports car, considering that the Yellowbird also did a kind of the same lap time. Now, to conclude, what I'm gonna say is, just reviewing all aspects of the Supra, it is definitely not the godly, god tier, absolutely invincible car that the fan base claims it to be. It is a very mid car, okay? It's a good sort of mid, okay? And unlike what other people say, it does have a competitor, or rather quite a few competitors. The GTR, the RX-7, the Miata, all the cars that came out during this time period are definitely competitors for the Toyota Supra. And it's not always that the Toyota Supra wins. So basically, everything that has been said about the Supra, that has been exaggerated about the Supra rather, that it can beat a Bugatti Chiron in stock form and stuff, is not true. It's a perfectly good Japanese sports car, but it ends there. It's not as good as you guys think it is. I mean, I'm not saying that it's a bad car at the same time. It is quite a good mid-ish car. But still, certain factors make me want another one of its 90s sports car contemporaries rather than a Toyota Supra. For example, the interior, the looks, and all the other stuff that I discussed. To conclude, in one line, The Supra isn't trash. It's just mid, but it's overrated. Its exaggerated image is because of the Fast and Furious franchise and other stuff. So Supra fanboys, all I'm saying is widen your horizons, okay? Get back to reality. There are definitely many competitors for the Supra, and there are even quite a few cars that can beat a Supra. So I would say that an RX-7 is better than a Supra. One, because it has that awesome rotary engine. Sound it produces is crazy. It looks much better than the Supra, and its interior doesn't feel as cheap. Okay, so I would say an RX-7 is a very good car compared to the Supra. If you still like the Supra, that's completely fine. I'm just expressing my opinion on it and why I think all the hype is over exaggerated. This is me, Trijal. This was my channel, Trijal Creates, and that was another episode of the Tyre Smoke Podcast. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. And if you have an opinion about what I just said, or if you want to give your opinion about the Toyota Supra, please do so in the comments box. I love reading other people's opinions about the Supra. So that's it for this episode of Tyre Smoke Podcast. Thank you for watching. This is me, Trijal, signing off. Thank you.